So today's topic is politics. Unite your mastermind members. So recently we just had an assassination attempt on a president. And for me personally, I've never seen that in my lifetime. The last time was Ronald Reagan, I think. And so I believe the writing is on the wall that things are more than likely just going to get more and more intense throughout the next 3 months and beyond to January and probably after that too. So what do we do as mastermind leaders, as I mentioned? What do we do when we have people with different opinions, perspectives, backgrounds? And do we demand and require that everybody believes exactly what we believe, thinks exactly what we think? Do we demand that everybody's clones? Or is there a way to bring people together? And that's really the problem that is here, which is house divided against itself cannot stand. It's from Abraham Lincoln. And I'd like to speak to things at that time. So that was when the country was literally in a civil war. The North fighting the South, literally killing each other. And the dividing line between America, there was families, that lived in clusters. So there was cousins fighting cousins, brothers fighting brothers, and people were dying. And so it's estimated over 700,000 Americans died during that time, which is roughly the equivalent of everyone in Denver, Colorado dying. Every man, woman, children in Denver, Colorado dying. And so I speak to this topic as Americans. However, I also extend this to our Canadian cousins we have here. If this was a cookout, I see the Canadian cousins coming over. They've got a little different food that they bring. They're bringing poutine and such things, I believe. But they're there. They're welcome. And I also extend this to everybody with the spirit of freedom all around the world. And that's what I believe is truly the founding principles of America is freedom and the belief that we, the people, have the power to decide our fate, not some power above that we give everything to. So we talk about modeling earlier today. We talk about being the example. And things are a macrocosm as well as a microcosm, right? So this division happening, say, in the world, happening in the country, can happen in our mastermind group. So how that shows up is members judging each other for their political belief, condemning each other for what they believe, which creates surface level connection, not creating deep bonds with each other. Because everybody's too afraid to just, it's almost like the extreme of this is corporate America, right? Where there's just, from what I've seen, so many layers of fakeness protection out of necessity. Because if you show certain things there, from what I see and heard, it's disastrous. So that's not good for our mastermind group. Destroying respect between each other, which destroys the power of the mastermind group. And so thinking of these in the context of our mastermind group, as well as the allies around us. So the referral partners, the Dream Team Network. Is that the case where we all need to be clones and we all need to think exactly the same way? No. Because to me, that was the founding principles of this nation. It was like, we can have a shared purpose, be on the same team, and have different opinions. And still go for a beer, still have friendships, and still be focused on the same thing. So the solution of this is, I want to just go ahead and see if I can show this here. And what I'm going to show is the leader at the time. So who is the leader during the Civil War, when things were way worse than they were right now? And that is Abraham Lincoln. And we can see in a matter of 5 years how we went from here to here to here to here to here to here. And the Union was on the winning side, just to show the stress of what he went through. And there's something that is so inspiring to me and something I think about so much, which is, how did he do it? Did by being a team on a mission, which is so appropriate for us. And there's such a powerful book called A Team of Rivals by Doris Goodwin that I'm going to show right here. And so what he did is that when he got elected, there was the other political side that had bashed him, torched him, you can say slandered, said the worst things about him as they were campaigning together. And when he got elected, he brought those people into his cabinet. He took his political opponents, his political rivals, and put them in his closest circle in his cabinet. Didn't matter if they were Republican, Democrat, whatever, put them in there. And when people asked him, how could you put your political rivals, the things that they've said about you, campaigned against you, how could you put them, why would you put them in your cabinet? And he said, these are the brightest minds that our country has to offer. And if we don't work together, then I will be doing our nation the greatest disservice in the time that we need it most. And so if he can do it with literal civil war, I believe we can do it with a handful of different opinions. And so how we do that is 3 different things, I believe, to simplify this. Is A, what is our mission? So with Brent, with the driven dads, what is the mission? Huang with the Zen power, living the truth, being calm under pressure. What's the mission? With Michelle, with these powerful women using this transitionary period to step into their next greatest chapter. What is their mission? Tim, with these community leaders, launch and growing their communities to help raise consciousness, help innovate with learning. What is the mission? Because they had the mission. Pretty simple. Save America. Because if we dissolve, what's going to happen? The other enemies, Britain's going to be like, great, I'm going to pick you back up. It's going to get destroyed. So what is our mission? In this case, with our mastermind, to help mission-driven coaches to launch, lead, and scale their mastermind group so they can change more lives, solve problems in our country, and be paid generously for the movements they lead. So what is your mission? And will it change? Yes. Do we need to get the words perfect? No. We just got to get the heartbeat. We just got to get the heartbeat, and people feel that. It'll come out in different ways to different people. And sure, over time, it'll get more and more simplified, but you don't need to get in the head. If we're in the head with this, we're already lost. What is our vision together? 1,000 mastermind leaders rising up to solve real problems in our country. They say, wait for politicians to save the day. We say, mastermind leaders pave the way. As for me personally, I have always had a disdain for politicians. Even since I was 18, I was old enough to vote. I was like, I'm not going to vote because I despise politicians. And so from the very beginning, I've just always felt that way. And I didn't have words for it, but I just felt like so many layers of corruption, censorship, just issues. I'm not going to put my faith in politicians to save the day. No, I'm not going to put my faith in the corporations or the organizations. No, the leaders. And that's what we have here, is the leaders rising up, solving the problems that they're best suited to solve, which is in our lane, which is in our niche. And that's what I believe So what Yannick says, that to bloom where you're planted. Bloom where you're planted in your niche, your zone. Also bloom where you are planeted, where your soul came to this time in human history to lead this change. And that's the opportunity that we have right now. So many problems that we can solve, but of course we can't do it alone. And that's where the mastermind group comes in. And so what are our values? In this case, focus. We 80-20 to 80-20. If we're not focused and laser guided in, we're not going to solve these problems. And we're not going to do it in time. Plenty of great empires have risen and fallen. And if we don't change, why would America be any different? Heart-centered leadership. We lead by example. And that's been the topic of the day today. That's the most leveraged thing we can do, most impactful thing we can do, most productive thing we can do is be the example. And there's that old phrase that I hear people say once in a while, like, they're like, oh, you know how it goes. Do what I say, don't do what I do. And I'm like, what a crock of bullshit. Truly. No, lead by example. Don't ask anybody to do what we wouldn't do, or haven't done. And so many things solve themselves. Collaboration. We win together. We got a mission. We got a team. We can't do it. I can't do it alone. I don't believe anybody here can do it alone, but together we can win. And not only for our mastermind group, as well as for everybody's mastermind group here. So one last thing I'll say, and then we'll open it up to the shares here, is I'd like to make a pledge to you. You know, as a leader of this mastermind group, of our mastermind group here, I want to be very clear that I pledge to not judge your political opinions. I pledge to not look down on you for your political perspective. Because how weak would I be if you had a different opinion than me and I couldn't handle it? How weak would I be if I needed a group where we're just like a bunch of ducks, quack the same, talk the same, whatever the same? How weak would I be? So I pledge to not condemn you for what you believe. I pledge to listen with respect. Now, I might not like it. I might disagree personally. However, I pledge and commit to give you the respect. A, as a fellow citizen of this country. B, our Canadian cousins and people all around the world, as a fellow ally in the spirit of freedom, which transcends country borders, transcends cultures. It's the spirit, I believe, that unites us, the human spirit of freedom, of being able to be the captain of our own ship, choose our own destiny. And that is what I ask of everyone here. If you ever feel like I am not doing this, let me know. Let me know. And I ask that you do the same for our fellow mastermind members here. Because then our differences become our strength. We are way stronger than a group full of clones. Different perspective, different niches, different styles, different ways of communicating. It's the power of the mastermind group. Somebody could hear something 10 times, but then they hear it in a different way from a different person with a different tone. Boom, it clicks for them. That's for all of us. So when we're divided, our differences are our weakness. When we're united, our differences are undeniable strength. And so that's what I'd like to open up the discussion here, and just remind us that alone we can accomplish so very little, truly, in the grand scheme of things in our lifetime. But together, I absolutely believe we can do the impossible and solve problems that need solving here. So thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing, and open up to what's one thing that speaks to you in the context of leading your own mastermind group.